Thursday morning. It's the main event. No, it's not. It's McCollum on Business, folks, here on this Thursday. Wow, what a way to start the show here is just running through everything. It's just off all week with that holiday on Monday. I appreciate you joining me here on McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum. For the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world, the Market Watch. Maybe some updates on the Middle East. Probably not the way we know how this goes out there and everything. But, we did just breaking right now, core inflation numbers report coming out. We'll talk about all that in just a minute. Of course, national stories, local stories, the stocks we're paying attention to as well coming your way. And let's not delay at all. Let's get right into it with that Market Watch. And everything, to be honest with you, as you can see on your screen there, is down here today. Yeah, little change though, even though everything's down, little changes out there. Traders evaluate the oil rebound, meaning oil dropped down to $90 a barrel yesterday. But then we just got, as we just talked about here about 5 minutes ago, the core inflation numbers, the Fed's preferred gauge of the inflation side of things. We got that report. We'll talk about that. Just hitting now, but oil prices yesterday were down to $90. Well, today, jumping about 2% as I see it on my screen right now. Iran says it has targeted U.S. airbase following the fresh American strikes. The American retaliatory strikes, and now Iran says they've retaliated against those American strikes. Oil back up 2% this morning. Kind of where we're sitting with the market, as you can see here. Dow Jones down 217 points right now, but 50,509 for that. The S&P 500 is down 18 points to 7520. The NASDAQ also down 26 points here this morning, 26,647. And then the Russell 2K down 16 points to 2903 for that small cap index as well. Bitcoin continuing its fall, right? 78,000 since last week, end of last week, 75 yesterday, last couple days. 72,695 for Bitcoin here today. It looks like it's headed back to that 60, 68, 67,000 level it was out there for a long time before. We'll have to see if it actually hits it here coming up as well. And stocks we're paying attention to right now, well, the first one is Dollar Tree out there. You know them, the discount retailer. They're up big today, 15.68% for Dollar Tree. As a discount retailer, this is kind of news here, as everybody's looking for deals right now with this economy. But Dollar Tree reported adjusted earnings of $1.74 per share in the first quarter. Analysts were only expecting $1.53 per share. Revenue came in above expectations. Also, so did current quarter and full year guidance. So good numbers here for Dollar Tree as well. They also announced a partnership with DoorDash in this announcement. They're going to bring on-demand deliveries from its stores, obviously, to you, the consumer, through DoorDash. Dollar Tree's up 15.74% with nothing but good news here for them as a discount retailer out there. Then another retailer we're looking at here this morning is Best Buy out there. And they're up as well, 11.92%. This is significant, they're reporting, because Best Buy's been struggling the last several years, right? People go into Best Buy, look at the prices, and then they shop online for them and ship them from Amazon or someplace else, right? And things to that effect. They've been trying to rebuild that business a little bit and get more people to buy from them. Well, they had an earnings and revenue beat for the first quarter for Best Buy. Their comparable sales were even up 2% year over year. Gaming, computer, mobile phones, and services are leading the way for Best Buy in terms of what is selling with them. So, they sell appliances and all of that stuff. Not doing so well in that side of it. The Best Buy also confirmed its full-year guidance and reaffirmed it here, so they're not changing that at all. Best Buy's big number today, 12.75% right now. And since we're looking at retails, might as well stick with another one that's been struggling over the last few years, several years. Older clientele, they're trying to get younger. We're talking about Kohl's out there. We used to look at this stock fairly recently, a couple years ago. Kind of went by the wayside with this, it is what it is, kind of an attitude with Kohl's, while they were trying to rebuild that business as well and get younger customers. Well, they're up 18.33% right now. They reported a narrower than expected loss in the first quarter. They lost 13 cents per share. The expectation was a loss of 19 cents per share. Revenue did come as expected. And I was reading a little bit into Kohl's yesterday after their reporting. They're starting to turn it around, and it's a very older client base there at Kohl's, and it is shifting a little bit here with Sephora and some other things they're doing inside their stores. It is shifting a little bit to a younger crowd out there, and people are going back to Kohl's. They're up 19.49% right now as well. When we come back later and look at stocks, we're going to look at some drone stocks. Well, the White House made some announcements last week that are affecting these stocks. We'll talk about that coming up. We'll pay attention to Dell Technologies as well. And then Caesars Entertainment making an announcement that a lot of people knew it was coming. We had a feeling we knew who it was going to be with. It's all official here as well this morning. So we'll look at Caesars Entertainment stock coming up as well. Just some other quick things in terms of the market. Things that are happening this morning. Snowflake, that software company. Well, that whole software industry on the stock market today is being pushed up because Snowflake is up 36% here this morning. They had an earnings beat and plan to spend $6 billion on Amazon Cloud. They're reporting they've gone up huge since we put together our stocks. Otherwise, that would be one of them. And also, it's pushing up other software stocks in that field here today, based off of them as well. Now let's get into some stories that we're waiting on, right? Iran says they retaliated against a U.S. airbase this morning. I haven't seen a lot of info on that, but oil prices going up to 2%. And the other thing is we always talk about, it's not just the war in Iran, right? It's tariffs as well that we always talk about, really affecting this economy right now. And as of today, the U.S. and Mexican negotiators begin formal talks. They're all trying to revamp and change that North American trade deal. Those talks start today. Did you notice a country missing as well? We'll talk about Canada not being involved as well. Washington is demanding stronger regional rules of origin. Things like a U.S. specific minimum level of content for cars and trucks that are built in Mexico. What it means is can't buy a bunch of stuff from China and then say they're American products, right? If they should come across the border, get away from those tariffs, is what he's talking about. The new standard is contained in proposed text to modify the U.S. Mexico Canada agreement. This is that USMCA you'll hear about on the news as well. The specific percentage of automotive content in the U.S. is looking for, well, we don't know for sure. I'm sure that'll come out in the negotiations. But it is, they say, knowledge, they say the shift is going to be significant from the existing USMCA. It's a 6-year-old deal here, right? It was signed originally by President Trump in his first term. It's it's pact that's expiring here coming up. Well, it's created a highly integrated regional economy underpinning nearly about $1.6 trillion in annual trilateral trade between the three countries. Its future, though, it's up in the air, and it hinges on negotiations over the next several months. The deal requires 40% of the 45% of the value of North American-built vehicles to be made in higher-wage factories. Basically, Canada or the U.S. at that point is what they're talking about. That's the current deal. Based on a list of core parts, which includes engines, transmissions, body panels, chassis components, the major parts of vehicles. The U.S. and Mexico, though, are excluding Canada from these current talks, these starting talks. Their plans to 3 bilateral negotiating rounds through late July is planned to come up here. It's just between U.S. and Mexico to start this negotiation. So this also includes the round of talks ending Friday. And they are happening, by the way, in Mexico City here for today and tomorrow for the first stages down there. So it's interesting to me why they're not including Canada in this deal as well. So at least the initial conversation, and it's probably because of the core parts. Mexico's known to bring in parts from other parts of the world cheaper to get around some tariff stuff and things. And so probably that's the major part of these negotiations. But that is negotiation starting. Folks, that's going to affect the market here if we can't get a deal or gets ugly during the negotiation process as well. And give you an update here in terms of housing, right? We talk about housing a lot here, and I keep telling you guys and gals out there, the market for houses, the economy isn't going to turn around until you figure out this house situation, meaning people can move, people can do stuff. Instead of just having to sit there with no movement and less inventory on the markets, well, the fair housing organizations have come out now. They filed a lawsuit yesterday over a federal rule change. Now, the opponents of the rule change and the lawsuit, they say they would reverse decades of lending protections, and they say, of course, open the door to discrimination against black people, Latinos, minorities in general. This is a federal lawsuit filed in Washington, D.C. Well, it takes aim at a change made earlier this year by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, that's the CFPB, and they made that change to the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. Now, that act bars lenders from discriminating against credit applicants. So basically, you can't treat one credit person differently from another one, is what they are saying in this change. Among the changes being challenged is that lenders will no longer have to consider disparate impact. Those are policies that appear neutral but tend to cause disproportionate harm to certain groups. The people filing the lawsuit, these fair trade organizations, they also argue the rule would make it easier for lenders to market loans to predominantly white neighborhoods, forcing minority communities to rely on those risky, high cost lenders that offer those predatory loans. Those are the ones with the high interest rates out there. Plaintiffs do argue that the rule change is part of that broader campaign by the Trump administration to dismantle regulations related to fair housing and lending protections. Now, the National Fair Housing Alliance said the administration has proposed eliminating the budget for the Fair Housing Initiatives program. That's the program that does fund nonprofits to ensure access to housing for seniors, disabled veterans, families with children, and other groups. It has also cut staffing in half of the Department of Housing and Urban Development's Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity. But right, the president and his administration is cutting back government workers and getting, obviously, these are getting in the crosshairs as well. Several high profile settlements, and we've talked about it both on the renting side as well as on housing discrimination side over the last several years. Well, these settlements and these charges still coming does indicate housing discrimination does remain a significant a problem in the marketplace. And like I said, it's all about the settlements of the lawsuits from cities, states attorneys, federal lawsuits as well out there. So there's some lawsuit here to kind of stop those changes from happening on those federal rules out there. And let's get to the Boeing side of things. We haven't talked about Boeing in a while, but they continue under their CEO, who I'm going to call him new CEO, but it's a different one than the one when they got in all that trouble. Their new CEO here, Kelly Ortberg, excuse me, he came out Wednesday and he said that Boeing has met requirements set by the FAA to increase its production of their most famous and most profitable jet, the 737 MAX aircraft. They're going up to 47 jets per month is what they'll be able to make. They currently roll out an aircraft rate of about 42 a month right now. They have to do it in stages because of safety rules and guidelines that the government has put on them. Boeing has previously seen production as high as 57 aircraft a month. Well, the CEO did say he doesn't believe the current company can currently sustain that rate with its safety and quality processes that are in place right now. He did acknowledge, though, that Boeing has work to do to get to a point where the company can further ramp up its production rates of that 737 MAX aircraft. Well, their next step is looking towards reaching that 52 per month production rate, is their next goal after this 47. He said the process could take at least 6 months, if not longer. That's after all the newly approved rate goes into effect in July or August. He says 6 more months to get up to 52. But Boeing continuing that turnaround from all those safety problems that they had and other strikes and other issues under their previous CEO out there. And new CEO doing positive things here since he has taken over as well. We talk a lot about data centers here on this program. A lot of money being spent on data centers from Meta, from Amazon, NTT, the Japan company as well. Huge money being spent on these data centers, all for artificial intelligence. Capital expenditure on AI is several a billion dollars, tens of billions of dollars out there. Well, we're starting to see a lot of funding switching and going towards quantum computing and bigger rates now. Yeah, IBM's the first one that we've seen at that level this year. IBM came out this morning and they said they're going to invest more than $10 billion in quantum computing over the next 5 years. It aims to build uh, by 2029, they plan to build the first large scale quantum computer, which is capable of running complex calculations reliably and without errors. You have quantum computing right now and they can't figure it out, tons of errors, which makes it almost impossible to use those computers and things. This announcement this morning follows a Trump administration decision last week to take $2 billion in equity stakes in nine quantum computing companies. IBM set to receive half of the funding for a new venture that IBM calls Anduril, and that would become the first dedicated quantum chip manufacturing facility here in the United States. So it makes sense that Boeing's putting more money into it and also some government funding to help move that forward as well. Now, you saw there by 2029, they want one that's pretty much error free. Well, we're not there yet, but recent technological breakthroughs in the technology of quantum computing, they fueled investor interest in its potential to accelerate tasks from drug discoveries to financial modeling, even cryptography. Is They're finding it easier and more error-free ways to find that stuff out. But there are still major technical hurdles here in this quantum computing phase. High error rates continue to be a problem. That obviously error rates limit practical use of these systems. If you remember last year, the Alphabet CEO, parent company of Google, etc., they said that they practically useful quantum computers were 5 to 10 years away. He said that last year. And right, they want to have this one out. IBM does by 2029, so we're kind of right in line with that time frame. IBM said this new $10 billion investment would span research and development, capital expenditures, but also ecosystem partnerships and manufacturing scaling. But even then, mergers and acquisitions is part of that $10 billion to grow with companies that start up and do things that IBM can't do. It's just easier to buy them at that point. The stat that kind of caught me by surprise here is IBM said this morning it's deployed more than 90 quantum systems so far this year, or so far in the date of their making these. That's more than all other industry players combined. So IBM definitely is a leader here in this quantum computing phase. Over 325 Fortune 500 companies, according to IBM, which, there's also startups, university, governments. Well, they 325 of these use its quantum systems right now, even with the big errors. They're all trying to tackle challenges in chemistry, biology, natural sciences, material sciences as well. And that was all filed with the Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, there for IBM. Those are shocking. I thought quantum computing was still in that infancy stage where you couldn't do anything with it. It was just all done in a lab, and companies and universities, a lot of them, 325 of them out there are using these systems, and they've deployed 90 of these systems out there. Just kind of shocked me a little bit when reading that. I still thought it was too new of a technology out there. Hey, June 11th is when the World Cup starts, and there's been a lot of controversy about the ticket prices out there. Well, we find out that FIFA is officially under new scrutiny from those ticket prices that are sky high. But not only that, but their sales tactics. They're using on demand services, meaning if there's a big game like the championship game, they're jacking those prices up because of the demand to get those tickets. Kind of like your Uber, your surge pricing out there. Well, all of that's happening. Fans say, left the fans here with worse deals than, of course, they wanted to pay, meaning nobody wants to pay $18,000 for a soccer game coming up or football for the rest of the world. The attorney generals in New York and New Jersey got together, and they're hosting, those two states are hosting 8 World Cup matches, which does include the final there at MetLife, which is in New Jersey, but New York also. They announced this week that they are investigating whether FIFA's ticketing practices violated consumer protection laws. They have sent subpoenas to the FIFA demanding information on a range of ticketing issues, including FIFA's use of the variable pricing models that they used. That, of course, sent those ticket prices soaring. Most matches and redrawn stadium maps, that they did also, that fans say relocated their seats far from the pitch. So some people bought tickets in, let's just say, the lower level. Let's say lower level, be mid pitch probably. Let's say that midfield for those of you not familiar. And then what they did was, because you didn't buy them for as much money, they redesigned the stadium, move your seat someplace else so you get less favorable seating, so they could then sell way more expensive tickets in that area. These attorney generals, working with the New York City Department of Consumer and Worker Protections, they say they are focused primarily on ticketing practices for the matches at MetLife Stadium, which is officially in New Jersey there, East Rutherford, if you can say it 10 times fast. Whew. New Jersey Attorney General did accuse FIFA of turning the act of buying a World Cup ticket into a gauntlet of confusion, fake scarcity, and impossibly high prices, was her exact quote in the filing. It's an honor for New Jersey to host the World Cup, quote, but the event is not an invitation to exploit our residents and visitors, unquote. No shocker here. FIFA declined to comment on it, as they are getting sued for their practices out there, at least being looked into here as well. And I suspect there's going to be a settlement or at least a filing of a lawsuit. But the World Cup underway June 11th here in Canada, Mexico, and here in the United States as well. And when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep the show rolling. If you're a Doritos fan, you want to stay tuned here coming up. We've got a story for you. You can do a little building with Doritos and win some prizes. We'll tell you all about that. Of course, local stories coming your way as well. We'll look at those stocks that are catching our eyes. Another look at that market watch. So come on back, folks. It's McCollum on Business. We're back here, McCollum on Business, Thursday edition. Of course, as soon as we get done here, we roll into the main event. Me and 17-year NFL veteran Del Hellestree get you caught up on the business world, but a treat on Thursdays here. Uncle Lou comes in. He's a contributor on the VSiN Network, of course, Gamblu.com as well. Hockey playoffs, we know one side of the Stanley Cup final. And after last night, I'm pretty sure we know the other side, even though it's not official yet. We'll get his thoughts on that as he covers that. series, well, the field is set and starts tomorrow. We'll get Uncle Lou's thoughts on the baseball side of thing. And then this week, well, last week UFC was off. This week it's back on, but it feels like another off week unless you're going to wake up at 1 in the morning for the main card or stay up for the main card at 1 in the morning. It's over in Macau, China here this weekend. But we'll get his thoughts on the fights coming up as well here today. 9 o'clock is when he comes in for that second hour of the show. Come and join us. If you miss it live here at YouTube, TME Media AZ, well, you can find it all on demand there at YouTube as well. And then, of course, on Rumble, rumble.com/user/TME Media. Like I said, once you pull that up, you'll see all the videos that have been uploaded right there on the front page. Can get a little convoluted. Right above those videos, you'll see buttons like Live Channel. Click that channel button, and you'll be able to choose the Real Matrix or whatever show you want to watch, and it'll give you the videos just for that show. Makes it a little bit cleaner. It's their setup, not mine, folks. A little bit different over there at Rumble. But the Real Matrix, last week's show, Data Centers is up right now. This week coming up as well. We're getting those ready. We're going into a Charlie Kirk series surrounding Charlie Kirk and everything. Angry Patriot wants you to come into this show with an open mind, ask questions is what he wants. He just presents it to you. Wants you to come in and ask questions and see how it goes. Good, positive feedback on this show as well. And those that are watching it do enjoy it. We see the feedback from it as well. And the Angry Patriot loves the support that you guys have for him on that program. New episodes at noon. Don't forget, podcast system. Just search the Angry Patriot, the Real Matrix, Angry Patriot, or something to that combination. It pops right up for you. A lot of people listen to that show in the podcast system, so you can join them there as well. And, of course, follow TME Media on X. That's our parent company of our production side. We don't post a ton there right now. We just post when events are happening and what shows are coming up, what we do here as well, and quite frankly, how we'd love to work with you as well. We've got some meetings here coming up for some other people, working with them on the production side of things. So it's exciting times around here. Company's growing, and it's all because of you guys out there as well. Can't thank you enough. But remember, like and subscribe to the YouTube page, the podcast. Every show has a podcast except for this one as of right now as well. And hit up, the social medias of every show except for this one as well. Pit Stop is up as well. We did that yesterday. It is posted on demand there on YouTube and on the rumble.com/user/media. And, of course, the Pit Stop Talk on your favorite podcast system. Follow me on X there, the Pit Stop Talk as well, for the social media side of things and the free podcast there. Just search the Pit Stop with Steven or the Pit Stop Talk comes up. But, of course, looking ahead this weekend to Nashville Super Speedway for NASCAR. And Detroit, Streets of Detroit for IndyCar this weekend. After kind of a dead weekend last week, and I talk a lot about that on the program, so check out the Pit Stop as well as your convenience here today or this weekend as well. And with all that being said, folks, let's get right back into that Market Watch. Very little changes here on the market today. The market's just kind of there right now. Everybody's kind of watching the 2% price in oils up as Iran says they've targeted a U.S. base after the U.S. retaliatory strikes there over the last couple days. As I said, there is an inflation report out. We'll talk about core inflation here in just a minute. I didn't do it in the first segment because it was just breaking, and I wanted to at least get the bullet points there, which I did during that break. So that and core inflation report, which is the preferred gauge by the Fed. This is an important one. I'll give you those details in just a minute. But right now, Dow Jones is down 64 points, 50,657. So even though it's down a little bit, still above that 50,000 level. And then the S&P 500 is up 9 points right now for it. And then you've got the NASDAQ, which is up 90 points right now. And then the small cap index, Russell 2K, Russell 2000, 4 points down right now to 29.18. Then Bitcoin continuing its fall here throughout this week, down to 72,892 here today for Bitcoin as well. Stocks we're paying attention to, and then I'll get you updated on that core reporting. Well, we'll look at drone stocks here. Specifically, one graph we're going to show you is Red Cat Holdings. This is our example of what's happening in this industry today on the stock market. A slew of companies, a bunch of companies. Well, the Wall Street Journal reported that President Trump's administration is in talks to providing funding to some of these drone companies. If you don't know, that's the new way to do warfare. Exploding drones is how you do it out there. Well, Red Hat Holdings is up 24.84% right now based off of that news. Another company in this space, Unusual Machines, they're up 28% here today. Kratos Defense and Security Solutions, all drone makers, they're up 10% here today based off of that Wall Street Journal news on the drone side of things. Then there's Dell Technologies out there. Obviously, technology. They build computers and servers, etc. 4.23% up for Dell. Well, the company won a $9.7 billion contract with the Pentagon. And with that $9.7 billion deal, Dell will provide a suite of software to the Department of Defense. Obviously, big numbers there in terms of sales for Dell. I'd like to be on that commission end of that, right? 4.35% up for Dell Technologies today based off of that news. And then Caesars Entertainment. They've been for sale for a while. There's been negotiations happening for a long time. We've known that. We kind of knew of the people that were the front runners for it. They've been kind of in private negotiations, final negotiations with Caesars Entertainment. Well, Caesars is up 1.46% here today because it was announced Fertitta Entertainment. They own Red Rock up there in Las Vegas. They own the Red Rock. They one of the brothers owns the Houston Rockets down there in Houston and the NBA as well. Well, Fertitta Entertainment announced an agreement to acquire Caesars Entertainment for $17.6 billion. It's going to be an all cash transaction. It's going to bring together these two hospitality companies. Some say they're both premiers. I can tell you this, Caesars has gone downhill over the years with their management that's selling out of it and everything. It's gone to garbage. They did something so stupid that they sold the land that their casinos are on in Las Vegas. So they have to pay rent to a company on the land that they sit on their buildings. I don't understand what the previous management was doing, but the Fertitta brothers and Fertitta Entertainment is a well-respected company still, and they're buying Caesars Entertainment. Hopefully a good turnaround coming here. 1.46% today for Caesars Entertainment. Now, we don't have anything on this because this was breaking in terms of graphics or anything, but before we get into the local stories, and folks, you're going to want to stick around for this Doritos stories coming up if you're a Doritos fan out there. But core inflation reporting did come out here this morning. It's the Fed's preferred gauge. Well, core PCE prices in April, they rose 0.2% for April, 3.3% for the year. So the estimates were 0.3%, so underneath the monthly estimate and in line with the yearly one at 3.3%. We get these numbers from the Commerce Department. It came out this morning right before showtime happened. The annual rates were in line with forecast, but those soft monthly readings are going to provide some hope that the high interest rates and the higher prices here over the previous month, that they could be starting to ease. Coming in at 0.2% for the month under the expected amount, is that a sign of easing is what everybody's kind of mulling right now as well. GDP did accelerate at an annualized rate of just 1.6% in the first quarter as well. That was due to that revised Commerce Department reading. The initial estimate was 2% for the GDP as well. So that number is coming out. Now, what this means, if you want to break it down, it probably means the Fed is not going to do any rate cuts or, more importantly, any rate hikes coming up until this wave of inflation kind of settles down and shows signs of settling down out there as well. So that's kind of what we're leading towards here with this reporting out there as well. So, we see 3.3% inflation for the year. In this report, we know the consumer production or consumer CPI, it was up to 3.8% year over year and stuff like that. So however you want to slice it, we're in the 3% inflation rate right now, and the Fed obviously wants it in that 2% level. So, by the way, jobless claims for the week ending May 23rd totaled a seasonally adjusted 215,000, up 5,000 from the prior period, slightly above the 213,000 forecast as well. To get that from the Labor Department out there. And orders for those long lasting durable goods, right? So these are like aircraft, appliances, computers, cars, for instance. They were up, orders for them were up 7.9% in April. Blew away the estimate, which was only 3.5%. These are big ticket items and things to that effect. Now, if you take away transportation stuff, meaning aircraft, cars, etc., it's just the appliances, computers. Well, new orders were only up 1.1%. So airlines, vehicles, the transportation side of this one is obviously driving these long lasting, durable goods on the market as well. So we'll keep our eyes on this. It's just broke today. That's just what I could devise during our break here. Now let's get into some local stuff as we talk here on this Thursday. State gaming officials here in Arizona. Well, let's start. Let's put a GoFundMe together. Not a GoFundMe, but a McCollum on business funding here as well. Yeah, the state gaming officials say they're going to make available at least 2 sportsbook licenses at the end of June. You already know there's a bunch out there. 2 more coming in. Event wagering and sports betting, as you know, were legalized back in 2021 by Doug Ducey when he was governor at the time. It created, when the deal was struck, it created 20 sportsbook licenses, half reserved for professional sports organization, the rest set aside for Arizona tribes. State gaming officials do plan to open a 2-week application period between June and July. That's going to kind of straddle the 2 months there. There are 6 licenses currently not in use. They're going to put 2 licenses available right now. Yeah. I wouldn't touch this with the 10-foot pole. Gambling companies are not, after their initial blip of being in the city. I think I saw a stat on the NCAA basketball tournament, the men's, something like 90 something percent of people betting had already been customers. They got very few new customers in that time frame. The growth on that is an interesting thing. And not only that, the cost for a license with the fees, that's about $1 million. And what I want to know is if a lot of people bid on it, you have 2 available, let's say 10 bid on it, can somebody say, I'll give you $5 million for it? Does it bid up those licenses? I couldn't find that answer there. But 2 licenses coming up. And then let's go to Scottsdale. The Scottsdale City Council officially approved a project called the Finish Line Auto Club Project. If you're a high-end car and you like these types of things, well, pay attention here. It's a luxury car condo and social club. It's going to be up in Scottsdale by the Scottsdale Air Park where the old Fenders headquarters used to be. They're taking over that building. It's going to be a $30 million plus complex. It's going to replace, as I said, the Fender headquarters as well. It's going to feature 125,000 square feet of high-end garage spaces and a 13,000 square foot social club. Hang out with your rich buddies and your expensive cars. Southern California based developer Finish Line Auto Club is the one behind this. They're building that 11-acre luxury car condo. There is what they're doing. 11 acres as well. The project does feature a Soho house style membership, a premium garage spaces. It is slated to open in late 2026 coming up as well. Now, the social club, as I said, it'll be about 13,000 square feet. Has a clubhouse featuring a coffee shop, wait staff food, beverage services, even a lounge for private events up there. Membership perks if you join, and I didn't see pricing yet on this, but membership perks, owners gain reciprocal rights to other Finish Line locations, which right now are all in Southern California. I think there's 4 or 5 of them over there. But you also get access to a dedicated mobile app for concierge and even maintenance services of your cars up there. So I know another one came into the valley a few years ago. I drive by one of them all the time, but they don't have a social club. It's just a place to store your good vehicles and things to that effect. So another one's coming if you're into that market out there. And then, folks, we'll end with this. Usually end around food for some reason. I don't plan that. It's something I've noticed we do, though. But we know, right? The 250th anniversary of the United States this year. Well, Doritos is getting in on the fun as well. Yeah. Doritos has launched a new, quote, Build the Bold, unquote, contest. They're calling it Build the Bold. It challenges Americans to recreate famous U.S. landmarks entirely out of Doritos chips. Look at the look at the Washington Monument there. Yes, you can win up to $250,000 to doing this. You can build everything from the Statue of Liberty, the Washington Monument. You can even go so far as to do Yellowstone National Park, the Brooklyn Bridge. Well, you must submit a video explaining how you created the structure and why you chose to do that structure. The campaign comes as brands and organizations across the country are rolling out events and promotions tied to America's 250th birthday, which is I found this out the other day, semi-quincennial, what they're calling it. We'll just call it the 250th year. You can choose from a list of approved landmarks, monuments, and natural wonders. So you go to the site here, Google it, and it'll come up for you. But I can't tell you, U.S. Capitol Building, Hoover Dam, Niagara Falls, Lincoln Memorial, of course, Washington Monument. I believe the White House is part of this as well, if I remember seeing that on the list. You'll be judged on creativity, accuracy, and video presentation. Doritos says the bold factor, they're saying that is what they're calling it. That's basically the visual impact and creative use of the Dorito chips. That makes up 50% of your final score. So it focuses around Doritos. Contestants can submit up to 3 unique buildings during the contest period, which runs through July 31st. You must only feature Dorito products. You cannot include outside branding, other people, visible tattoos, or even copyrighted music in your video. Doritos also says contestants cannot use generative artificial intelligence tools. That means no chat GPT or anything to that effect, Claude or anything to create your submission. And now, if you don't want to do the grand prize one and build this and do the video work, etc., for the 250 grand, well, they're running separate sweepstakes with weekly giveaways throughout the summer as well. Daily entrants can win a bold at home bundle, is what they're calling it. That's a Doritos branded cooler, speaker, beach towel, even a $200 MasterCard gift card. The contests and sweepstakes are open to anybody 18 and older, here in Arizona at least. I know some states are 19 or 20, right? No purchase obviously required to enter on the daily stuff out there if you don't want to build something and submit it for a chance of that $250,000 prize out there. First of all, what a waste of Doritos, man. We want to eat them. I don't want to build them. But that's just me at that point. That's my problem. I'd be like, 1 for the White House, 1 for me. 1 for the White House, 1 for me. 1 for the White House, 7 for me. And says, a new summer project for my kids. There you go. Get them started on it. I couldn't even do Legos as a kid. You want me to build something with Doritos, to be honest with you? The Washington Monument makes the most sense. Don't you just stack Doritos up really high? Somehow point them at the top? How do you do Yellowstone? That's what I want to know. How do you do Yellowstone? You can use the Cool Ranch, I guess, for the waterfalls, right? If you want to. Look at me. My imagination's flowing, folks. Appreciate you joining us here at McCollum on Business. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday's edition, 7 a.m. Make sure you come and join us. Don't forget, catch us live, TME Media AZ. Like, subscribe that YouTube page. Share us with your friends if you would as well. We appreciate it very much. It'll be up on demand here the next 30 minutes or so on Rumble as well as YouTube. Main events coming up live, 8 to 10 a.m. Join us as well here on YouTube. Otherwise, catch that on demand later. Don't forget the Pit Stop is on demand right now for you. Everybody have a great Thursday night. We'll see you tomorrow.